Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the meeting is now live on YouTube. Okay, so today we will be discussing chapter 14 of third canto. So welcome everyone. So far we have Kamal Prabhu, Anuradha Mataji, Bhuvaneshwari Mataji, Ian Prabhu, Kiran Kohli Mataji, Vembada Prabhu, Nina Jatani Mataji, Padma Mataji, Sahana Mataji, welcome Sahana Mataji, Satish Prabhu, and Sumedh so far. Okay, so let's begin the session with our usual invocation. Hare Krishna, Madha Kumar Prabhu and Apurva Mataji. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So before we begin the today's chapter, let's recap of what we had discussed in the previous chapter, chapter 13. So chapter 13 is entitled Appearance of Lord Varaha Dev. Varaha is a boar incarnation of the Lord. So the chapter begins by Vidura inquiring from Maitreya. Vidura says, I would like to hear more about the activities of Swayampumanu, who was created by Brahma. So Swayampumanu was a pure devotee of the Lord. So hearing his activities is as good as hearing about the Lord. So I wanted to know more about Swayampumanu. You told me previously that Brahma created Swayampumanu and Shatarupa. And so what did Swayampumanu do after he was created by Brahma? I wanted to know more about it. The main reason is he's a pure devotee. So just hearing me about the pure devotee is as good as hearing me about the Lord. And he had a lot of eagerness to hear about Swayampumanu. So Maitreya was very pleased with that inquiry, and then he narrated the what happened after Swayampumanu was created by Lord Brahma. So Swayampumanu asked Lord Brahma for some instructions. I just follow your instructions. I am your obedient son. We know that in the past, Lord Brahma encountered some issue with his progeny. So Kumaras did not want to propagate or produce children, and Lord Shiva produced children, but they were causing disturbance like that. So he had some problems, but this time Swayambumanu said, I am your obedient son. I would do just whatever you say. Just let me, please order. I will execute your order. So Lord Brahma gave 3 instructions, which are very useful, very, very useful. First, he said, beget good children. So beget children like you. You're a great devotee. You're obedient son. So produce children similar to you. And number 2, you should rule the kingdom, rule the people religiously. This is the second instruction. First instruction is to produce nice children, rule the kingdom, rule the earth religiously, and then worship the Lord. These are the 3 instructions Brahmaji gave to Swayambumanu. And if you do this, you will be doing a great service to me. And not only you're doing great service to me, but you're also will be pleasing the Lord. Then Swayambumanu, so he looked down, and when he looked down to come to the earthly planet, to do his job, this earth, entire earth globe was submerged. The entire Bhumandala was submerged in the Garbhodaka ocean. So Maitreya said, oh my Lord, you're asking me to go and rule the earth, but the earth is submerged in the Garbhodaka ocean. Please retrieve it. And Lord Brahma was contemplating, how would I get it back? It's completely submerged in the Garbhodaka ocean. So while he was just contemplating about it, from his nostrils, Lord Boar appeared, Varaha. Initially, he was only the size of the upper portion of a thumb, very tiny, but later he became huge, gigantic. And then, so Lord Varaha went down to the Rasatala, the lower planets, and he picked up the earth globe and put it in its place. But here, Maitreya Muni, while narrating this pastime, he also said that Lord Varaha not only retrieved the earth, but also killed Yaksha, the demon Yaksha. So Jiva Goswami, our acharyas, and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, they explain that actually Maitreya amalgamated 2 pastimes. Lord Varaha appeared twice, at least twice. So initially, Swayambhu Manvantara is the first Manvantara. In this day of Brahma, we are in the 7th Manvantara. Swayambhu Manu is the first Manvantara. So that time, Lord took the form of white boar, Shweta Varaha. That's why this day of Brahma is also called Shweta Varaha Kalpa. But when Lord took the form of boar and killed Hiranyaksha, that happened in the 6th Manvantara. So we are in the 7th Manvantara, but it happened in the 6th Manvantara. but Swayambumanu requested to retrieve the earth, the first Manvantara. So he amalgamated. But when Lord Varaha killed Yaksha, it is called Neela Varaha, Tamal tree. It's a bluish, the color of the Varaha is bluish in complexion. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that Maitreya had amalgamated, Sage Maitreya amalgamated two pastimes and just mentioned about this. So Lord, whichever form Lord takes, it is transcendental. He doesn't lose his quality. He is free to take the form he likes. It is said in the 3rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord descends in every species of life, even among vegetables, even among lower species. Lord comes. But whatever Lord does, whichever form Lord takes, whatever Lord does is transcendent, divyam. It is transcendental. It is out of his free will. It's his pleasure. For his pleasure, he is doing this pastime. And so he does not lose his ability or his potency. So looking at the gigantic boar, transcendental boar, the sages in the higher planetary system, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Maharloka, Satyaloka, they started, including Brahma, they all offered wonderful, wonderful prayers in glorification of Lord Brahma. And so Varahadev, Lord Boar put the earth in its place and went back to his own abode. Sage Maitreya tells that if one is this pastime with devotion, one will be awarded pure devotion and he goes back to spiritual world. We know the famous verse from 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vet tattvataha tyakva deham punarjanma nahiti mameti so Arjuna. So the Lord's appearance and disappearance activities are transcendental. One who knows them, one who understands them in reality, they will not take birth here again. Rather, they go to the spiritual world. So Maitreya tells, then who will reject to hear these pastimes? Only non-humans. He tells. Very polite way of telling. Who will reject to hear these pastimes? Only non-humans. And he stops there. And now we'll move on to the 14th chapter, entitled Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening. Okay, so let's begin reading. I'll share the screen. Yeah, text 1 to 7, Madhav Kumar Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So we can perhaps start from down the list today. So we've got Viraj, who's joined us from today onwards, Prabhu. Just a quick mention. Viraj Prabhu and his family, they've been coming to the temple for a while now. They live close to us. So today onwards, Viraj Prabhu is part of our Bhagavatam session.
Welcome, Viraj Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Could we ask you to start reading, Viraj, 1 to 7, text 1 to 7.
Okay, you want me to read it?
Yeah, just the translations that are showing on the screen.
Yeah, I can read it, yeah. Text 1.
Thank you.
Sukadeva Goswami said, after hearing from the great sage Maitreya about the Lord's incarnations as Varaha, Vidura, who had taken a vow, begged him with folded hands to please narrate further transcendental activities of the Lord. Since he, Vidura, did not yet feel satisfied, text 2, Sri Vidura said, O chief amongst the great sages, I have heard by disciples succession that Hiranyaksha, the original demon, was slain by the same form of sacrifice, the personality of Godhead, Lord Bear.
Board.
Lord Bo, sorry. Text 3. What was the reason, O Brahma, for the fight between the demon king and the Lord Boar, while the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastimes? Text 4. My mind has become very inclusive, and therefore I am not satisfied with the hearing the narration of the Lord's appearances. Please therefore speak more and more to the devotee who is faithful. Text 5. The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting a devotee, because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. Here is the source of liberation from the chain of the birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die. Text 6. By hearing this topic from the sage Narada, the son of King Uttanapada, Dhruv was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead, and he ascended to the abode of Lord, placing his feet over the head of death. Text 7. This history of fight between the Lord as a boar and demon as a Hiranyaksha was heard by me in the year long ago, as it was described by the foremost of demigods, Brahma, where he was questioned by the other demigods.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Purva Mataji. Welcome to our Sangha.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
So, in this section, we can see here our Vidura was not satisfied and wanted to hear more about the Lord and Lord's pastimes. It's a big conversation. My goodness, generally people chit-chat and gossip, but how long they do that, I don't know. But the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya is never ending. Entire third canto and most of the fourth canto. Imagine, like, there are 30 chapters, more than 30 chapters in the third canto. A long discussion. And Vidura was not satisfied. He wanted to hear more, and he was very inquisitive. And he just wanted to know more about why the fight happened between Hiranyaksha and Varaha. What was the reason? What was the background? like that. So Vidura asked, and Maitreya said, thank you so much for asking this, and I'm happy to explain. And the pastimes of the Lord are like a medicine, panacea, so which will liberate one from this material world, just by hearing them repeatedly. And he just gives one example here. So son of Uttanapada, Dhruv. So Dhruv, just by hearing from Narada about the Lord, so he ascended to the planet of a spiritual world, Vaikuntha, placing his feet on the head of the death. Prabhupada writes in the purport that actually when Dhruva Maharaj was going back to Godhead, so he was approached by the death personified. But that time he did not care for this death. He simply placed his foot on the top of the head of this death and climbed the aeroplane. And that's how, like, just by hearing, one will be able to cross over this material ocean. And I'm happy to narrate. So that's what he says here. And Maitreya also says that he heard about this, he heard this pastime from Lord Brahma a long time ago when he was describing this to demigods. So now the next section, 16 to 29, please. It's a long one. Sorry, did I say 16 to? Oh, then I'm wrong. 8 to 15, please. Madhav Kumar? Prabhu?
Yeah, so we can ask Ujjwal Mani Mataji and just keep going. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Yes, Ujjwal Mani Mataji, please, if you could read.
How many do I have to read?
Text 8 to 15, Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Deity, daughter of Yaksha, being afflicted with sex desire, backed her husband Kashyapa, the son of Marichi, to have intercourse with her in the evening in order to beget a child. Text 9. The sun was setting and the sage was sitting in the trance after offering oblations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire. Text 10. In the place the beautiful deity expressed her desire, O learned one, Cupid is taking his arrow and distressing me forcibly as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree. Text 11. Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wife. By performing this act, you will become happy. Text 12. A woman is honored in the world by the benedictions of her husbands, and husbands like you will become famous by having children, because you are meant for the expansion of living entity. Text 13. In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Yaksha, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we would prefer to select as our husband. Text 14. Our well-wishing father, Yaksha, after knowing our intention, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you, and since then we have all been faithful. Text 15. O lotus eyes one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his plea should never go in vain.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Here in this section, our Maitreya Muni started to explain. So, you know, Maitreya Vidura asked about the fight between Yaksha and Lord Varaha. So Maitreya starts the full pastime, you know, how he was actually born, he was conceived by Diti. So that, you know, that's what being narrated here. And how Diti conceived both Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu was given in this chapter. And here, you know, Diti approached her husband Kashyapa, son of Marichi, for a union, and in an appropriate time in the evening. She you know, she says that she wants a child, and she also mentioned that her father Daksha handed over 13 daughters to Kashyapa. So that includes Diti. Okay, so 13 daughters of Daksha were handed over to Kashyapa, and all of them, apart from Diti, had children. And so Diti wanted to have children as well. It is natural when co-wives have children, and you know, naturally that Diti also wanted to have children. But she approached at a wrong time, in the evening. And so that's what's mentioned here. So you are a great personality, so you should not, you know, you should not refuse my request. So I would like to have children, and requesting a union. And let's see the next section, 16 to 21. Sorry, I beg your pardon, 16 to 29.
16 to 29, Prabhu. 13.
Yes, please. Yeah, 29. Yes, please.
Sarogi, Prabhu, is that yourself logged in? Are you able to read? If not, then perhaps Sumedha can help us with the reading. He's next.
Yes,
Sumedha,
just give me
there?
1 second. I'm just going to close my door because there'll be an echo.
Okay, thank you.
O hero, Vidura, Viditi, being thus afflicted by the contamination of lust, and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by the son of Marichi in suitable words. O afflicted one, I shall forthwith gratify whatever desire is dear to you, for who else but you is the source of 3 perfections of liberation? As one can cross over the ocean with sea-going vessels, one can cross the dangerous situation of material ocean by living with a wife. O respectful one, a wife is so helpful that she is called the better half of a man's body because of her sharing in all auspicious activities. A man can move without anxiety, entrusting all responsibilities to his wife. The fort commander very easily conquers invading plunderers. By taking shelter of a wife, one can conquer the senses which are unconquerable in the other social orders. O Queen of the home, we are not able to act like you, nor could we repay you for what you have done, even if we worked for our entire life, or even after death. To repay you is not possible, even for those who are admirers of personal qualities. Even though it is not possible to repay you, I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately, for the sake of begetting children. but you must wait for only a few seconds so that others may not reproach me. This particular time is most inauspicious, because at this time the horrible-looking ghosts and constant companions of the Lord of the ghosts are visible. Lord Shiva, the king of ghosts, sitting on the back of his bull carrier, travels at this time, accompanied by ghosts who will follow him for welfare. Lord Shiva's body is reddish, and he is unstained, but he is covered with ashes. His hair is dusty from the whirlwind of dust of the burning crematorium. He is the younger brother of your husband, and he sees with his 3 eyes. Lord Shiva regards no one as his relative, yet there is no one who is not connected with him. He does not regard anyone as favorable or abominable. We respectfully worship the remnants of his foodstuff, and we vow to accept what is rejected by him. Although no one in the material world is equal to or greater than Lord Shiva, and although his unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of nescience, he nevertheless remains as if a devil to give the salvation to all the devotees of the Lord. Unfortunate foolish persons, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish persons engaging in the material body, engage in maintaining the material body, which is eatable by dogs, with dresses, ornaments, garlands, and ointments. Demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rites observed by him. He is the controller of the material energy, which causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply imitation.
Thank you so much.
Haribol. It seems that I lost the ability to speak halfway through.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
So in this section, there are actually 2 points here. In the first place, Kashyapa glorifies his wife, and in the second, glorifies his wife, and then he says that you have to wait a few seconds because this is not the right time for union. So first he praises, he glorifies, then he gives the reasons why it is not the right time for union. So these purports, maybe we can read 1 or 2, and we can take some lessons here. I've selected text the 19. So maybe someone can read text 19.
Yeah, just
purport.
19, but next on the list, just going down up the order. Sumodar Radhika Mataji, are you able to read?
Yeah, sure. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Translation. O respectful one, a wife is so helpful that she is called the better half of a man's body because of her sharing in all auspicious activities. A man can move without anxiety, entrusting all responsibilities to his wife. Purport. By the Vedic injunction, the wife is accepted as the better half of a man's body because she is supposed to be responsible for discharging half of the duties of the husband. A family man has a responsibility to perform 5 kinds of sacrifices called Pancha Yagya in order to get relief from all kinds of unavoidable sinful reaction incurred in the course of his affairs. When a man becomes qualitatively like the cats and dogs, he forgets his duties in cultivating spiritual values, and thus he accepts his wife as a sense gratificatory agency. When the wife is accepted as a sense gratificatory agency, personal beauty is the main consideration, and as soon as there is a break in personal sense gratification, there is disruption or divorce. But when husband and wife aim at spiritual advancement by mutual cooperation, there is no consideration of personal beauty or the disruption of so-called love. In the material world, there is no question of love. Marriage is actually a duty performed in mutual cooperation as directed in the authoritative scriptures for spiritual advancement. Therefore, marriage is essential in order to avoid the life of cats and dogs who are not meant for spiritual enlightenment.
Thank you. So it's a very wonderful purport. Everybody can read. So especially, yes, those who are going to get married can read, and those who are married also can read and take some lessons here. So Prabhupada mentions this wife and husband actually should come together and perform nice devotional service. We have several grihastha household couples in our temple, and we see them serving, both of them serve nicely. And Prabhupada mentions that, when a wife is accepted as a sense gratificatory agency, personal beauty is the main consideration. And as soon as there is a break in the personal sense gratification, there is disruption or divorce. So do you see a lot of this in this day and age? Very fragile relationships. I hear so many. Many I hear. Even our practice, GP practice. But if the center is Krishna, if the aim is spirituality, that patience will be there. See here, but when husband and wife aim at spiritual advancement by mutual cooperation, there is no consideration of personal beauty. So the personal attraction is only temporary, it doesn't last longer. The arrangement or the marriage that happens based on only personal beauty, doesn't sustain longer. But actually, there should be a goal, and the character is real beauty, isn't it? So many marriages fail because the relationship is based on the personal beauty. Prabhupada very nicely mentions here. You can all read that, but the goal is the spirituality, and both husband and wife should come together and serve the Lord. And also the union, Prabhupada repeatedly points out in this section that there is in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there is one verse where it says, Dharma viruddho kameshu, dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharadarshapa. And the union should ideally be for procreation of children, for not otherwise. And householders should produce nice children, and that way they should produce nice brahmacharis, produce nice vanaprasthas and sannyasis. So it's the householder, they will produce children, and eventually these children, some of them become brahmacharis, some of them become vanaprasthas, and others will become sannyasis. So the aim of householder is to produce good children. So that's what Prabhupada mentions in these purports. And the other point is that Kashyapa, sage Kashyapa, he tells his wife Diti that it is not the right time, because this time Lord Shiva, he travels along with his ghostly companions. Lord Shiva is very merciful, is called Ashutosh, very quickly pleased. So to deliver these ghosts, so he takes the in charge of their care. He travels during the evening time. And it is said that the ghosts do not have a body, physical body, they have only subtle body. So if they need some kind of enjoyment or any gratification, they have to enter into someone else's body. Then only they can have that gratification. Because they don't have a physical body, they only live in the subtle body, so they have to enter into a physical body. We see that many times. This person is haunted by ghost, that person is haunted by ghost. In the story of Ramanuja, there is a wonderful story that when a princess haunted by ghost, that time Ramanuja was invited to drive away this ghost from the body of this princess. And the ghost actually speaks out and tells that if this Ramanuja places his foot on my head, of course, that's a prince, yeah. So on my head, I would leave. And that's how the ghost left. And there are many occasions, other occasions as well, when a house is haunted by ghost, devotees go and chant, do Harinam for some time, and the ghost will leave. And whoever have union during that time, there is a possibility that Lord Shiva, he just places one of those ghosts in the womb of the person. If the person unions at that times. So that's why he said you have to wait. And Lord Shiva, you can't escape from Lord Shiva. He has got 3 eyes. And 3 eyes, he sees everywhere. One eye is compared to sun, the other eye is compared to moon, the another eye, third eye is compared to fire. So he's you can't escape from him. He's everywhere. So better wait for some time. And it is said that it is said in this text, he says that Lord Shiva is my younger brother, Kashyapa tells. So one of Diti's sister is Sati. Sati is married to Lord Shiva. So that's why Kashyapa addresses him as brother. But at the same time, Kashyapa tells that how powerful Lord Shiva is. Even Lord Brahma and other demigods worships him. So you will be displeased if you unite at this time. So you have to just give us some time. Then we can do that act. Okay, so let's move on and read the next section. We are running out of time today. We did 29, isn't it? 30 to 43.
Yeah. Satish, bro, are you able to read? Satish Bhoganathan, bro, you're with us today.
Yeah, sure.
Let me share the screen.
Thank you.
So starting 21, right?
No. We read up until 29, 30 to 43, please.
Okay, sure. Text 30. 32. Okay, text 31. Text 30. Sorry, text 30. Maitreya said, Diti was thus informed by her husband, but she was pressed by Cupid for sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahmana sage, just like a shameless public prostitute. Text 31. Understanding his wife's purpose, he was obliged to perform the forbidden act, and thus, after offering his obeisances onto worshipable fate, he lay with her in a secluded place. Text 32. Thereafter, the Brahmana took his bath in the water and controlled his speech by practicing trance, meditating on the eternal effulgence, and chanting the holy Gayatri hymns within his mouth. Text 33. O son of the Bharata family, Diti, after this went nearer to her husband, her face lowered because of her faulty action. She spoke as follows. Text 34. The beautiful Diti said, My dear Brahmana, kindly see that my embryo is not killed by Lord Shiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offense I have committed against him. Text 35. Let me offer my obeisances unto the angry Lord Shiva, who is simultaneously the very ferocious great demigod and the fulfiller of all material desires. He is all auspicious and forgiving, but his anger can immediately move him to Can you scroll up, please?
Chastise. Yeah.
For him to chastise. Text 36. Let him be pleased with us, since he is my brother-in-law, the husband of my sister Sati. He is also the worshipable Lord of all women. He is the personality of all opulences and can show mercy towards women who are excused even by the uncivilized hunters. Text 37. Maitreya said, the great sage Kashyapa thus addressed his wife, who was trembling because of fear that her husband was offended. She understood that he had been dissuaded from his daily duties of offering evening prayers, yet she desired the welfare of her children in the world. Text 38. The learned Kashyapa said, because of your minds being polluted, because of defilement of the particular time, because of your negligence of my directions, and because of your being apathetic to the demigods, everything was inauspicious. Text 39. O haughty one, you will have two contemptuous sons born of your condemned womb. Unlucky women, they will cause constant lamentation to all the three worlds. Text 40. They will kill poor, faultless living entities, torture women, and enrage the great souls. Text 41. At that time, the Lord of the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the well-wisher of all living entities, will descend and kill them, just as Indra smashes the mountains with his thunderbolts. Text 42. Diti said, it is very good that my sons will be magnanimously killed by the arms of the personality of Godhead with his Sudarshan weapon. O my husband, may they never be killed by the wrath of the Brahmana devotees. Text 43. A person who is condemned by a Brahmana or is always fearful to other living entities is not favored either by those who are already in hell or by those in the species in which he is born.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Here in this section, we can see, so Kashyapa agreed because Diti forces him, and Kashyapa agreed for the union, and the union occurred in a secluded place, and later Diti comes and repents for her act. Then she prays to Lord Shiva that my embryo will be protected. Hope he will not be angry at me. And then Kashyapa gives his prediction that you will have two terrible sons because of this act. However, they will be killing the Brahmanas, and it said poor people, faultless living entities, torture women, and other great people. And however, he mentions that they will be killed by the Lord. That's what he says, and she was happy. And that they are going to be killed by the Lord. So next section from text 44 to 51, please.
Can we request Shana Mataji to read, please? Next.
Yes, Prabhuji. 1 second. Yeah, I'll get my glasses.
Mataji, are you available? Shana Mataji.
Yeah, I can't see the. Oh, yeah. Okay, text 43, Prabhuji?
44 onwards, Mataji.
44 onwards. Okay. The learned Kashyapa said, because of your lamentation, penitence, and proper deliberation, and also because of your unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and your adoration for Lord Shiva and me, one of the sons, Prahalada, of your son, Hiranyakashipu, will be an approved devotee of the Lord, and his fame will be broadcast equally with that of the personality of Godhead. In order to follow in his footsteps, saintly persons will try to emulate his character by practicing freedom from animosity, just as the purifying process rectifies gold of inferior quality. Everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. The topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotional service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. He will be a virtuously qualified reservoir of all good qualities. He will be jolly and happy in others' happiness, distressed in others' distress, and will have no enemies. He will be a destroyer of the lamentation of all of the universes, like the pleasant moon after the summer sun. Your grandson will be able to see inside and outside the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose wife is the beautiful goddess of fortune. The Lord can assume the form desired by the devotee, and his face is always beautifully decorated with earrings. The sage Maitreya said, hearing that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her sons would be killed by Krishna, Diti was highly pleased in mind.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Sage Kashyapa said that the sons will be killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she was happy with that. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, we can read that Lord's killing and blessing will be the same, will have the same result. Because you have respect for Lord Shiva, you have respect for Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna, and you have respected me, and so you will also have a wonderful grandchild named Prahlad. There will be a great devotee who is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's what mentioned. We just read the purport of the last text, which will sum up nicely. Can someone read the purport, Madhakumar Prabhu?
Yeah. Can we request Padma Shivakumar Mataji, if you're able to read? You're next on the list.
Hare Krishna.
Padma
Diti was
Mataji?
very...
Yes. Oh.
Sorry, Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Diti was
Yes, we
very
can.
aggrieved. Diti was very aggrieved to learn that because of her untimely pregnancy, her sons would be demons and would fight with the Lord. But when she heard that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her two sons would be killed by the Lord, she was very satisfied. As the wife of a great sage and the daughter of a great Prajapati Yaksha, she knew that being killed by the personality of Godhead is a great fortune. Since the Lord is absolute, his acts of violence and non-violence are both on the absolute platform. There is no difference in such acts of the Lord. Mundane violence and non-violence have nothing to do with the Lord's acts. A demon killed by him attains the same result as one who attains liberation after many, many births of penance and austerity. The word
Brusham.
That is significant herein because it indicates that Diti was pleased beyond her expectations.
So it is said that Diti was very, very pleased. The word, someone is doing some naughty here. Okay, let me just.
Sorry, Prabhu. Sorry.
No. Yeah, sometimes it happens, isn't it? You just pick the pen and it happens. Yeah. So it is said Diti was very greatly, Brusham, very, very happy that that our sons will be killed by the Lord and not by the wrath of Brahmanas. So if if one is dead by the wrath of Brahmanas, one goes to hell. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear the story of King Vena. King Vena was killed by the Brahmanas' wrath just by speaking, just by their words. So Brahmanas killed him. They didn't do anything. They did not use any weapon. Just by the words, King Vena was killed. So Diti was happy that they would be killed by the Lord, not by the wrath of Brahmanas. Wrath of Brahmanas, if one will be killed by the wrath of Brahmanas, one goes to hell. Whereas if one is killed by the Lord, one will attain liberation. So she was happy, and she was also happy that one of her grandchild would be a great devotee. So she was very pleased with that. So in this chapter, we have seen this chapter is entitled Pregnancy of Diti in the evening. And in the beginning of chapter, Vidura asks Maitreya want to hear more about the pastime that happened pastime of Lord Varahadeva killing Hiranyaksha, and why that fight occurred like that. And Maitreya started narrating actually how their birth took place. He tells that wife of Kashyapa, Diti, approached her husband for a union in the evening at an inappropriate time, and for begetting children, because her co-wives had many children. She also wanted to have children. And Kashyapa said to Diti that please wait for some time, because this is not the right time for union, because Lord Shiva travels with the ghostly beings at this time, and he will place one of those ghostly beings into your womb, because this is not the right time. He'll be displeased by you, And however, but she insisted, and Kashyapa satisfied her, and then Diti lamented after that and repented, and Kashyapa gave his predictions that she would have two terrible twin sons. They'll be killing poor people, brahmanas, etc., etc. However, they will be killed by the Supreme Lord, not by the wrath of brahmanas. And because Diti was respectful to Lord Shiva and Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also had respect for Kashyapa, she's going to have a great devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, as her grandchild. So with this, Diti was very pleased. And that's how this chapter ends. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any comments, any questions quickly? It's 8 o'clock.
Hare Prabhuji, I had a question that I wanted to ask.
Who is that?
It's Apurva.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
So basically, in one of the verses it said that that the topmost devotee won't have any enemies. But like, if we consider the example of like Haridas Thakur, for example, and when he was beaten up in like 22 marketplaces, they could be considered as his enemies, even if you like consider other devotees. There was always some opposition. So I just wanted you to like kind of clarify that point.
No, I know which verse you are referring to. I think you are talking about the verse regarding Prahlad Maharaj, text 49. Yes, text 49. You're right. So my understanding is like this. Haridas Thakur, Prahlad Maharaj, they are quite elevated beings. We are not at that stage. Because we are not at that stage, we are only practicing devotees. You know that there are 3 levels of devotees: Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttamadhikari. We are only in the beginning stage. So when someone hurts us, when someone causes some harm to us, we consider them as our enemies. That is natural because we are not very elevated beings. Whereas Haridas Thakur, if you see Haridas Thakur pastime, when he was being beaten by these people, he was actually praying for their well-being. It is said that, if I remember well, that Lord was actually ready. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ready to kill these people. Chakra, with holding chakra, he was about to kill them. But actually Haridas Thakur was begging the Lord, oh my Lord, they don't know what they are doing. Please forgive them. Please forgive them. They don't know what they are doing. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, because of you, I could not harm these guys. Otherwise, I could have killed them with my chakra. That was the mood. Even Prahlad was also at that was the mood, because they think, they see everyone at that level. So we are not at that level. We may consider, if someone harms, we may consider as our enemy. But as we progress in our devotion, we tolerate that. As a devotee, matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukhadupada agamapayino nityas tam titikshasva bharata. So for the devotee, ornament is this titikshva, tolerance. But we are not at that level. We just have to accept that fact. Haridas Thakur and Prahlad Maharaj were on that level, and they don't have any enemies. Hope that answers your question, Apurva Mataji.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone. And Krishna willing, we shall see you next week. But over to Maya Kumar Prabhu if he wants to make any announcement.
There were a few hands that went up.
Really? There were, sorry. Hare Krishna, I agree. Ambada Prabhu is agreeing. Thanks very much for giving us detailed explanation, which makes so much better than by reading ourselves. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for the session. Yes, so thank you.
Okay. No, we just wanted to reiterate a message that was sent a couple of days ago about the update to the temple events. This year onwards, we wouldn't have a regular Friday program online. It is just the Sunday program as usual, 12:30. Most of you are coming to the temple, but for those who may not be able to come regularly, just a reiteration of the message that was sent on WhatsApp. So it's just a regular in-person Sunday program that is on 12:30 onwards. We've also sent a note offering some one-to-one support if you are looking to get some more value add into your spiritual life, some additional guidance to progress. Then you can register interest in the mentor-mentee program. The link will be sent again a couple of times whole of this month. And Saturday morning, we are starting the Saturday morning program in person, 5 o'clock in the morning, Mangalarati. First and third Saturday would be full programs, including Bhagavatam class and Prasadam. And second and fourth would be just Arati and morning program, not the full program. These details will continue to be published with the Sunday program notification all of this month. So just wanted to reiterate that. Also, fourth Sunday would be Kirtan Sunday, so instead of a full-fledged class. So just wanted to reiterate that. It's a new change. The reminders would come with a Sunday notification on WhatsApp. And if you're not registered, there is a link that you could share with your friends and family to get included on the regular notices. That's it really.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everyone. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Krishna, thank you.